There we go, everybody. Hello, hi, nice to see you. My name is Dean, and this is the program. We are back for not another day. It is Tuesday, and Tuesdays are like my favorite day of the week. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's like legitimately my favorite day of the week. And the reason why it's my favorite day of the week is because we get to talk to and turn things over to a man who has his own show right here every single Tuesday. We changed the name of it because we don't care. He's in the Ukraine. He's live, and he joins us. Alex Dayrabekov, ladies and gentlemen.
There he is.
Yeah.
There we go.
There he is. First, let's deal with the beard, dude.
It's coming in nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like it? Because your Twitter profile picture is very fashionable. It's you like looking off into the stars with an overcoat, long flowing hair, no beard, clean cut. I know it was a while ago, but this is a very different look. Are you going to continue with the war beard when this is over, or are you going to get a clean shave? Like, is this just like in Canada, we have things called hockey playoff beards, right? Where playoff people in hockey, they wear the beard for like until they win or until they lose. They can't. So is that what you're doing with the beard?
Yeah, actually, I typically in my business, I shave, like what you say, clean shave. I do clean shave, but since the beginning of the war, I just didn't care, and I will stay like this until the end of the war, even if it's too long.
It's a nice little breather from shaving. Like if you haven't shaved, shaving sucks, right?
I hate shaving.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, oh fuck, I gotta shave. I don't have time. I'm gonna get in the shower and stuff like that. So it's like it's been like if you were looking for silver linings when it comes to the war, not having to shave is a pretty good one. Yeah, that's how I would look at it. Anyway, how are you, brother? We've lots of news to get to out of Ukraine. We've got Russia making a major withdrawal of troops, so I want to get to that. We've got huge news coming out of different pockets from around the country, but it's all coming up Ukraine. We heard this morning news that there may be talks in Turkey. I want to get to that. I want to get to the volunteer effort, and we've got a ton of videos to play for people. But where do you want to start? Because I always, I don't want to commandeer your experience. So, and it is your show now for the next hour. So, how are you feeling, and where do you want to start with what's been going on? We're now day 34, day 35. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, actually, this entire month was a complete change of the life for all of us. Yeah, I was thinking how to explain it to you. Just imagine the first days of the war. I took my telephone, and imagine yourself. You are just sitting with your telephone, and you are deleting a lot of apps that you are used to having. That you used in your life. For example, I deleted Uber. I deleted apps for movie theaters. I deleted entertainment apps, and I deleted Booking, Airbnb, because I understood I would not need it for whatever time. So this was the state of, you completely change your life. I changed my place. I don't have a home, I don't have my car. I don't have my new home. But, today I actually shared with Dean that today I felt probably the best in the entire month because of the news, and we will discuss them today, of some news, and this the entire spirit is good.
Can you explain how you felt in the last month? Is it a pit in your stomach? Is it anxiety? Is it? Can you just relay some descriptor on exactly what you've been going through?
Yeah, just a sec. I think the recharger is just a second.
He's got to charge his phone to answer that.
We're
question.
losing him.
Oh, that's
We're
okay.
losing him here for a second.
Yeah.
He's just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
The computer will turn off. So yeah, the feeling was like full stress. everybody in their lives, in your lives, you felt stresses like this. When you
Yeah.
lose someone, when you lose a friend or relative or someone, it's such a big stress of like complete change of paradigm of your life. When you're like, how do I put it? I stopped, for example, I stopped exercising in the morning. I haven't started. I haven't, reinforced it until now. I had to change complete set of habits. I, you know, so it is really hard to explain. I will think about the words and how to
Yeah.
explain it next
Well,
time. But
I was going to say maybe a good way to do this is to take us through a normal day of Alex Dayrabekov,
Yeah.
2 months ago, 3 months ago, and take us through a normal day in your life now.
oh yeah, well, actually, the day before the war started, me and my wife, we were sitting together, and just like in regular life, we were discussing windows, design of the windows for our new townhouse that is being built in Hostomel, close to this military airport, the first target for Russians. So we were for hours we discussed how we would, the windows should open like this or like that.
We know.
Yeah,
It was on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And actually, we agreed on all the concept. We agreed with the designer, with the window
No,
construction.
you agreed.
Yeah,
You
you agreed with
agreed.
her, and she
And-
agreed with the designers. Yeah.
She made you feel like you're part of the process,
Yeah.
but you really, really aren't, Alex.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's fine, and it's good to know this.
Oh yeah. We have very democratic relations now. I must say.
They don't.
That's what every
Lachlan
man who
doesn't
wants
have one.
equal.
Lachlan doesn't have one of those.
That's what
relationships.
every man who wants everyone to think he has equality in his relationship says out loud. It's all good. You've been brainwashed, Alex, and
Yeah,
that's
that's okay.
fine.
Yeah. So you and your wife, and I love the irony of this. The day before, bombs start flying and jets start flying over your condo. You're building this beautiful townhouse near the airport where they originally landed, and you're talking about windows and what shape and which way they should open. Should we get the vinyl? Should we get the aluminum? And like that does not matter.
I like
today.
those little roller things.
Yeah, actually, I had an invoice on Wednesday afternoon, and I was supposed to pay it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, they sent you the window. So you're in the middle of a war, you don't even know your house is there, and they're like, here's the invoice for your windows. You're like, I'll get to that later.
Yeah. In fact, some of our neighbors paid it on Wednesday.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Well, there's no windows. There's some of the homes are completely destroyed in Hostomel now. Completely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you know if your house is still there? If the house you're building is still there?
From the videos or from some photos that we got from satellite, as of like 5 days ago, it looked pretty much okay. So, but you never know. The Russians are still there, so there's bombing, there's shooting, and I just decided I shouldn't worry about this. I do not have home at all. It's zero. I don't have a home.
Alex, how
Crazy.
is the news being disseminated into Ukraine? Like, how are you and your friends that are on the ground? You're attempting to live a normal life. I saw your video today with your friend that's running the coffee shop. Are you guys hearing about the peace talks in Istanbul, Turkey, between Ukraine and Russia? Like, are you getting that information right now?
Yeah, absolutely. There's all sorts of. Ukraine is a democratic country, and we have lots of channels of communication, and all of them are used. And people in Ukraine really understand that the official channels really translate, verified information. Mm-hmm. So everybody's following them, and we also know what the fakes are, because there's lots of fakes from the Russians. Mm-hmm. Lots of fake channels, lots of fake news, and most of the people know it, and they believe only the official information. So there's, of course, information about peace talks on radio, on television, And by the way, most of the central TV stations united now into like one, and they do broadcasting in one channel. Like,
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow, that's
in the
amazing.
war. In the war, it's important because we also have this information war from Russia. So it's important that there's an official information from one channel.
Well, let me get to some. Sorry, real quick. I just want to get to a couple of slides. One of them is from Mykolaiv. They're talking about peace talks, and Alex, maybe you can fill us in. And while they're talking about meeting Zelensky and Putin meeting in Turkey, while they're talking about Russia possibly moving out of Kyiv, I want you to get to that as well. They're still beating the shit out of Mariupol. They're still beating the shit out of Kherson. They're still beating the shit out of Mykolaiv. And this is like a building that was hit by one missile. Like this is
a government building,
major, right? Yeah, it's a major government building.
Okay,
from what I understand, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll get to that slide in just a minute as well.
It's up to 12 people dead in that attack now. That was just updated. Yeah,
with impunity. So, like, first things first. Do you believe that like anything that's coming out of Russia? Do you believe, because I heard last week that one of the original, like Roman Abramovich was in like this meeting with the Ukrainian people and the Russian people, and everybody got poisoned. Can you, do you even trust it if you hear this news, or are you cautiously optimistic? Like, how do you balance the visuals of the ongoing destruction and the terrorism and the barbarism with the news that there might be peace talks?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I split the war and the negotiations, especially in this specific situation, because this is an unfair war where the enemy uses illegal or not rightful ways for the war. It's like, in a box, you come out using the typical boxing techniques, and your enemy hits you in your balls. That's not.
That's a good analogy.
It's not a fair game. Same with the negotiations. Those are not negotiations. We know that the Russians use the negotiations because this war is already for like 8 years. We have this war for 8 years. And all the negotiations, Russians manipulated and used them only for their own purpose, and they never followed them. So I don't really look too much attentively at those negotiations, because I think that negotiations are mainly about humanitarian corridors and exchange of prisoners. Nothing else.
You think that's what those peace talks are really going to be about? Like, you don't think anybody wants peace out of Russia, right?
Yeah, well, it's like, I'm in my apartment with my family.
Yeah.
And my neighbor, who is a serial killer, and I know it, a serial killer who killed many people and has captured many apartments, he comes to my apartment and says, I'm going to kill you, your family, and I'm going to capture your apartment. What kind of peace talks can I have with this guy?
Yeah.
I just have to defend myself and kick them. Yeah, that's it. And kick them out of my place.
That's kind of how we feel about it too. Outside looking in, Alex, we're I guess frustrated by the peace talks as well on a certain level. Clearly not as much as Ukraine, yourself and everybody over there. But do you think on some level they need to happen, or are they kind of pointless? Like, I'm struggling with that as well, because I'm like, well, Jesus, the first time around they tried to poison the Ukrainians and then they're
Russians.
deals.
They tried to poison everybody at that meeting. It was fucked.
and then not only that, then they come up with some sort of an agreement on people getting out or moving to safer ground or whatever. And then they bomb the shit out of the corridor. They agreed to let the people, like, it's just insanity that they continue on some level, right? And that good people are dying when these assholes are sitting down and having a conversation with, right? Like, and that's a perfect analogy, right? You live next door to a serial killer.
Yep.
And all he wants to do is put you in his freezer. You know, like and how the hell do you expect to have any reasonable conversation with this dick? But do you think they should be going on, Alex?
Oh, of course, there has, again, at least for humanitarian corridors that we really need, because we need to get people out of Mariupol. There's still more than 100,000 people, still in the bomb shelters in Mariupol, without water, without food. We need to get them out somehow. So at least for that, and for the exchange of prisoners. Well, but the good news is that after the negotiations, the Russian delegation actually explicitly communicated that they are going to, how did they say it, to dramatically decrease attack on Kyiv and Chernihiv.
Mm-hmm.
We don't trust it. And by the way, the State Secretary of the U.S. said right away that U.S. does not believe it. The U.S. doesn't see any signs of Russia, Russia's inclination to any kind of disagreement, which is also good for us that he said that. But they explicitly said that we are decreasing, and I feel that this is a good message to actually the Russian people, because they are fucked up in Kyiv and Chernihiv. They are completely fucked up. Our army pushes them away, and they just have to have some kind of an excuse. Why are they stepping back?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody's saying. This is Jim Sciutto from CNN, or sorry, this is Anders Ostland. He's a military reporter, actually very, very good one. He used to work for the Daily Mail. Russian military is trying to cut back on activities, which is what you're surrounding around Kyiv before the Russian military is cut off around Kyiv, to your point. Jim Sciutto said, breaking, Russia is beginning to withdraw some troops and forces from around the Ukrainian capital in what the U.S. assesses as a major strategy shift. Two U.S. senior officials told me U.S. is already observing movements underway of Russian battalion tactical groups, BTGs. He goes on to say, in the U.S.'s view, this is not a short-term adjustment to regroup, but a longer-term move. Russia comes to grips with failure to advance to the north. The Russian Ministry of Defense said Tuesday it decided to, quote, drastically reduce hostilities in the Kyiv and Chernihiv regions. U.S. officials made clear the pullback is the direct result of Russia's failure to make further gains around Kyiv, thwarting its plans to quickly encircle and take the capital. Moreover, Russian forces that withdrew from the north will probably deploy to other parts of the Ukraine if they don't get their asses kicked on the way out first. I added that last part. But that's what you're talking about. Like,
yeah,
what you're talking about is a pure failure. This is a pure failure on behalf of Russia. This is a huge miscalculation because he's not fighting 160,000 different Ukrainians. He's not fighting 300 Ukrainians. He's fighting 40 million Zelenskys, 40 million Dayrabekovs. He's fighting 40 million people who are ready to go. They're ready to die. And from your estimation, we're on the phone with you a couple of weeks ago when this whole thing started, like day 2, day 3. If I don't even remember that. And day 2, day 3, that was supposed to be when it was a Russian territory. This was supposed to happen in 48 to 72 hours. Every pundit was going, oh, he's going to run over the Ukraine. There's no stand a chance. This is going to be over. The resistance will be there for 20 years. That's not happening. But how is this happening? That's the question, right? Like, how are the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian army and men, women, how is everybody banded together to not just kick the ass of the world's second biggest superpower, but embarrass them along the way? Like, absolutely fucking embarrass them. How is this happening?
Well, just to illustrate this, I heard a story today. We have this, it's called territorial defense. The volunteers, it's not the army, it's not national police, it's not National Guard. It's just the people, the locals with military experience who volunteered to help. So the guys from territorial defense with experience in the war in Donbass, in the first days of the war, they created the first checkpoints between Irpin and Gostomel, where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So they just had guns, and they just had Molotov's cocktails. That's it. They didn't have anything else. Sometimes they don't even have helmets. They don't even have helmets because they are not the army. They're just volunteers who joined this resistance. So they stopped. Several tanks were going their way. They stopped them with guns in Molotov cocktails because they are protecting their own city. They lived in Irpin. They live in Irpin. They love this country and they want to. And this is how we fight. Very often it's, we need weapons. And I emphasize it all the time. We need aircraft and we need defensive and air defense weapons. But we fight like this now, even with the minimum that we have, we fight. Another story from Mariupol. I watched a video with the deputy commander of the Azov battalion, which is now in the center of Mariupol. So because it's now enclosed, there is a blockade. So they are in Mariupol. I don't know how many, maybe 1,000, 2,000 people, and they are fighting I think 15,000 of Russians, 10 times more. That are present in Mariupol. So the guy says that the soldiers are fighting to the end. They wounded with their fingers cut. They stand up, take the weapons, and go fight.
Yeah. You know what? There was a story. The mayor's trying to get those people out, and they won't leave because there's this pride for this country, and I think that's what it is.
1,000 to 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers, the Azov battalion, taking on 15,000 Russians in Mariupol. And if you know anything about Mariupol and what has happened in that beautiful town, is that they've razed it. They've just demolished it from 100 kilometers away, just bang, 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 bang. And these guys. The tank video that we saw, where you saw that drone just pounding Russian tanks that we played last week, that's in Mariupol. Do you understand? Do you understand the courage? Like, these guys are like, it's a death sentence. We don't give a shit. We lost a couple fingers. We're gonna keep moving forward. We're gonna keep doing. I saw a video of someone firing one of those NLAW missiles literally out of the window at a tank in Mariupol, and it was one of those like moments where you see a visual and you internalize it, and you're like, I wouldn't be in that building, and these guys are ready to die. That's the difference, right?
Yeah,
like that's.
Yeah, I think that's
it's
what
foreign.
Well, and to a man, I mean, everyone we've spoken with, Alex, has had exactly the same comment that you've had, and it's like, we're not going to lose. We are not going to let these assholes take over our country, and it's something that we're seeing your president do, Zelensky. It's something we've heard you say multiple times. Every time we've had you on, you're
with confidence.
We're not going to lose. Yeah. We're not quitting. Yeah. And I think that's part of it. This undying belief in what you guys are on the right side of history here, and that you're not going down without a fight. It's awesome to watch. It's hard to watch, but it's awesome to watch, Alex.
Tell us a story about Kharkiv a couple of days ago, because this is one of those stories. Alex and I were chatting before, but the story about Kharkiv and them taking out that commander, it is fascinating. It's awesome. Tell us a little bit about that, Alex.
Yeah, so there's this brigade, Russian brigade. It's a 200 brigade, with So it's a brigade that consists of several battalions. So several days ago, there was already an information that out of battalion of, can't remember exactly, something like 635 people, 635, 627 were killed. Only 8 left alive out of the entire battalion of this brigade.
Yeah.
That was
what,
news.
Alex, as well. The interesting thing, and this is again part of the conversation about how screwed up this whole occupation is from Russia's end, and I've seen numerous stories about this. Is you guys are taking out high-ranking generals. You were just alluding to one that got killed, and I think I don't know what the numbers are right now. I heard 7. It may be as high as 9 or 11 now. Like high-ranking generals. And I saw one military expert speaking to it in an interview, and he's like, "Man, the fact that they're there on the front lines fighting this fight is a huge sign that Russia's in fucking trouble, because there is no reason why they should be on the ground. They got morale issues. They need their generals there to keep the troops in line and keep the troops from heading home or doing whatever, right? So the fact that that's happening is a sign of how difficult this invasion from Russia into Ukraine has been as well.
Yeah. In fact, it's probably the general that was killed today. And what I told you about this 200 brigade is not the end of the story. This happened several days ago. Today, the information is that the commander of this brigade is killed. And as of now, 2 battalions have been completely eliminated. So totally 1,500 people from this 200 brigade are dead.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I probably shouldn't laugh so much, but like, and they pop out of nowhere. Like it's just an incredible fucking story. The resilience of these people in the face of like what everybody around the world, if you were watching the news, you're like, it's over in 2 days. Fuck. Yeah. It's not only not over. They're killing Russians by the bucketful.
Well,
sorry,
you
Alex.
know what we need to do, Alex? NATO and the rest of the world needs to get off our fucking hands and help you guys out a bit more. You guys need, I mean, if they're not willing to shut the skies down, there needs to be a conversation about getting you guys the weapons to protect yourself from the skies. And I know there's a huge conversation right now about getting you some way, getting Ukraine's, and again, I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but the javelins, the guns you can fight from the
javelins
ground,
and laws, with the tubes,
yeah. So I hope we pull our heads out of our asses and get our shit together from the West's perspective and get you guys more equipment and better weapons to fight the invasion as it continues here. Because as much as these peace talks, I don't know if you can call them promising, or this retreat and this sort of adjustment of Russia's strategy, possibly, if you can even believe it, as much as that might be a sign that you guys got some easier times ahead. I don't know. I don't know if you should trust it. I
wonder how many of the people
going to let up. Right?
It's a great point. I wonder how many of the people in that country, Alex, and you would know better than me, like, you know, if you canvass 10 friends, how many are like, fuck the peace talks, let's just keep mowing them down.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is that a sentiment in Ukraine right now?
Well, yeah. People, well, we already, again, everybody understands that this is not the war that is lasting for 1 month. It's 8 years. It's 8 years. It started 8 years, exactly 8 years ago, with Crimea and Donbass that were taken away from us. So now, since we have so many losses, thousands of people, civilians dead, more than 100 kids among them, we have hundreds of buildings destroyed, hundreds of schools, hospitals destroyed. We do not want to stop, because we understand whatever negotiations are with Russia, it's a bullshit. And even if we, if there is any compromise, that would be only in favor of Russia, and the war will continue in the future. We do not want that anymore. We are ready to fight now until the end, so that after this we have a peaceful land, fully protected, with the security in the future. It's like we are like, you know, this Maslow's pyramid. Mm-hmm. So we went all the way down to the basic needs now. Shelter, food. We don't even think about the next stage. The next stage is security, meaning what will happen tomorrow. We don't think about tomorrow. So now we are at this stage. We want to go back to security level, and this is only possible when Russia will never be able to attack us anymore.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah,
say fuck
that's a great
Putin in
point.
Ukraine?
Yeah. How do you say that?
How do you say fuck Putin in Ukraine?
You
Fuck
can do it.
Putin, иди нахуй. Иди нахуй.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's good. Look at the seriousness on his face when he says it in Ukrainian too.
I don't know if you heard the story on day one, which is very important. That was the island, little island in Black Sea, with 13 border police, 13 people.
Mhm.
The Russian ship came to this island. It is strategically important. It is close to Romanian border. So it was really important for Russians. The Russian ship came close to this little island. It's really tiny island.
It's called Snake Island, right?
Snake Island, yeah.
Yeah. And they commanded, we are the Russian ship. You either surrender or we shoot a missile on you. And the guys reacted immediately. They didn't think a second. They said, fuck you.
Fuck you, Russian warship, I think is what we heard in the West here. That's a famous story. It gets told over and over again, Alex, and I think it's indicative cry. And it's exactly what you guys are. It's what the Ukraine is. That little island, and then they bombed the shit out of it, and the fucking guys survived, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the guy is actually from Cherkasy Oblast, where I am now. He's a hero. He's a hero now.
And he should be.
Yeah. Because, well, basically what it means, he said, on behalf of the entire nation, kill us. This is our land. Kill us. We are not afraid. We do not fear you. This is our land, and you can kill us, but we will not move.
That's awesome. Can I tell you a quick story?
Can I just play you one video too? Because like not only is it incumbent upon every Russian soldier just to go fuck yourself, and then boom, Ukrainian farmers now make up what appears to be the 5th largest army in the world. Look at this.
Слава Україні! Завтра це вас тільки поверху буде їбашить. Що скажеш? Укріпляємо армію України. Шикарно. Було орків, стало наше.
Man, everybody in this country.
I want to know what he's saying, Alex. Did you hear what they were saying?
Oh, he was like, this was Russians, now it's ours, and fuck you, and this is
awesome. We're just falling in love with you guys. Everybody in Canada is falling in love with Ukrainians. It's awesome, and we love getting these videos. I actually have a quick story to share with you, and it's based on the fake news that not only you guys have to deal with and Russians have to deal with, but we have to deal with in North America. I got a video this morning, early this morning, from a guy that I don't even know who he is, but he's a follower of mine on Facebook, and he sends me stuff like this all the time. He's harmless. I just ignore him. I've given up a long time ago trying to correct a lot of these guys because it's pointless. They're stuck in this path and they believe what they believe, and you're not going to change their minds.
We call them dumb fucks over here.
Yeah. And anyway, so this guy, he's convinced that of all these bizarre conspiracy theories, and one of them is that the war in Ukraine is fake, and that this is all all the fake news and fake media creating this. I don't know for what fucking purpose, who knows, but and he's like, and look, we caught them again. This is a news story from a fire in Edmonton that they're claiming. Edmonton is where I live. They're claiming that this is a fire caused by a bomb from Russia, and they focus in on a firefighter, and he's got a Edmonton on the back of his fire coat. And because we just sent a whole bunch of firefighters over to Ukraine with equipment. And this is their idea of proof that the fucking Ukraine war is fake. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like it's amazing to me to see this stuff that people will somehow gravitate towards. It's nuts, right? Instead of highlighting the fact that some Canadians on their own accord took the time to raise thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, flew the shit to Poland, put it on fucking trucks and drove it to Kiev, right? And then threw it on people's backs because they're in the middle of trying to put out fires from bombs that are happening on a daily basis. Instead, they choose to believe that it's somehow a story from fucking 6 years ago when we had a fire here. Like it's crazy that we're dealing with the fake news on our end here from our own fucking people.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like, share this. You got to get the word out.
I had a female friend of mine because we talked to you. We're very pro Ukraine. We're very pro like facts. Like just the truth. And she's like, that's all fake, like the moon landing, right? And I'm like, holy fuck, are you an idiot? Like, you're when you hear that kind of shit, what do you think? Like, because you're living it, you're in it, you've seen it. Your house has been fucking bombed. Your apartment's gone. Your friends are dead.
Just the photo that you showed today of the governor's house in Nikolaev, this one. A French journalist, asked me today if I can find someone in Mykolaiv. I have relatives there. So I found a friend of my relatives who lives a quarter away from this building. So she has her own photos, her videos of what happened. She saw it herself.
Yeah.
I saw my building. I talked to my neighbors whose relatives were killed by Russians. I know these neighbors. I've lived with them for years. A guy I talked to, he's killed. And the Russians are so much fooled by their propaganda that they do not trust this.
It's a pandemic around the world. It's another form of a pandemic, but it's happening around the world, Alex, and it's crazy. It's crazy that we're living with it. When you're getting, bombs fired at you. Right?
Yeah,
it's just not right.
Well, and we see it. Like, I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, let's get to some of the videos, or this picture, Alex. Like the volunteerism. We were going to talk about that today. This is very real. Where is this? You took this picture. Is this this is from your collection, correct?
Yeah, this is an underground station close to my apartment in Kiev, actually, the guy who lives in my apartment, I rent it out to him. The guy evacuated from Donbass back in 2017 after it was captured by Russia. So he's Russian-speaking guy, and he called me on the first days of the war, and he said that he and his family stayed in the underground station for night because underground is the best natural bomb shelters. So they slept here, and he said that unfortunately the underground stations were not prepared for the war. They had practically nothing. People came with their blankets, whatever they had, like sleeping bags, but there was nothing. And he said, maybe we can buy some tea and sugar and coffee. And so we took some money that we had, and we went to the supermarket and bought some sugar and tea and teapots. They didn't even have teapots. That's how we started our volunteer activities. Yeah. So then we found some people started sending us money, so we bought blankets because it is cold, naturally cold in the underground. And then we bought some heaters, and then we bought some microwave ovens because they needed to warm up some food. Then it turned out that the staff, and this is the lady, by the way, this is the lady who is the supervisor of this specific underground station. So this lady came to work on February 23rd, and because she is a military person, she is not allowed to leave the place while it's a war. So she basically lives in the underground. Her daughter came to the underground to stay with her. So some of the supervisors and some of the staff, and there's around 40 people of staff per each station, and we have 30 stations, so it's like 40. So it's 1,200 people of staff plus about 300 policemen. So we are talking about 1,500 people, just staff that lives in the underground, plus around 2,000 from 2,000 to 3,000 people, refugees or whatever you can call these people who hide in the shelters. Yeah.
And they've been there for how long? Some of them, I assume, have been there for 35 days, right? Since the whole thing started.
Well, those not so many stay there for forever. Most of them move and come for the night, or for when the siren is working. Because it's really safe there. You don't even hear the air defense working, and
you can't hear the horns.
And you cannot hear the sirens as well because they are outside, and it's safe for kids, for those people with special needs. They just stay there, and it's safe and it's good. So we started like this 4 weeks ago. Then Ukrainians started donating, but Ukrainians cannot donate too much. So I started asking my European friends, ex-colleagues, my American friends. I have lots of ex-Peace Corps volunteers because I worked for U.S. Peace Corps volunteer in Ukraine as a language trainer. So lots of ex-Peace Corps volunteers helped with donations. They raised funds. So by now, I just did financials yesterday. We have collected $37,000, $37,000, and we spent almost everything because we actually identified the specific needs in the underground station. So we're not like a typical humanitarian aid mission, just buying lots of stuff, bringing in. We actually talked to the supervisors of underground stations what they really need, what they need. So and then based on this, we collected the requests, and my team, about 8 people now, they go around Kyiv and buy all the stuff and bring it in. So we are, apart from the typical humanitarian aid, actually solving specific problems. But now we came to the point when we don't have as much money, but I started attracting my connections in Ukraine. For example, today, I talked to the general manager of one beverage company, and they provided us with 3,500 bottles of water, which we just deliver to the underground stations, distribute among the people, because they don't have clean water even,
Yeah, we don't. The volunteerism and we're so focused on strategy. We're focused on peace talks. We're focused on the visuals and the destruction. You don't get a chance to see the volunteers.
That's why you're there, Alex.
Yeah,
that's why that's why you were put here. You were there to you were there to help, right?
Yeah. But it's incredible because you put out a video yesterday. I want to play it for people. And the video that you put out is you going for a walk in the park. But you touch on the volunteerism and how many people have actually volunteered to join the territorial defense team, to join the army. And what I loved about it, and we'll play it, what I loved about it, A, is your attitude, but B, it speaks to what you're talking about, which is the fact that every single Ukrainian just decided to accept this and try to do something about it. But watch this is a wonderful video. Watch this.
Hey. Today is the 30th day of war. We are walking in the park, and we just got some coffee and talked to the coffee lady. She's a young lady, working here all the time during the war. She has 3 kids, one 8 years old and two 2 years old. And her husband is a military guy, but he signed up to the volunteer group. It's called Territorial Defense, Teroborona. But he is in the line. There's such a big line that he was not accepted, so he stays home with the kids. So she said that she is a commander at home. But even though her husband is a commander, or he has experience as an officer in the army, she is a commander at home. And she said that she's so angry that she would go and fight with this beast herself if they come here. It was really funny, and you know, we are undefeatable. The Ukrainians cannot be defeated, and we will win for sure. We are strong, as we have such strong ladies as that one. Slava Ukraini.
I mean, as beautiful. Two things I took out of that. One is we have strong women. We're going to win because of our women. The democracy of gender in that country is a beautiful, beautiful thing. The other thing I got out of that, though, was that the guy has to stay home and take care of the kids, and his wife's super in charge. As a divorced man, I'd have chosen war. But anyway. But is that a fact? Like, so many people have signed up to go to war. They're like, whoa, you guys stay there. We got enough people. I mean, that story in itself is incredible to me, Alex. The fact that people are just willing to give themselves over to the process, right?
Well, yeah, historically, army was not well paid, or was never well paid. I cannot say for sure what was the recent salaries that the soldiers in the army would get, but right after the war started, Zelensky announced that now the salary is about, in dollars, that would be $3,500 per month. So it's like $40,000, more than $40,000 per year. And for Ukraine, it's an amazing amount of money. You know, an average salary for Ukraine would be something like, I think, $6,000-7,000 per year.
Oh.
So $40,000, it's like, for you guys, it would be like $200,000, $250,000 per year. That was an amazing amount of money. So there was a joke, and I believe that it's not just a joke, that in order to get to army, you need to bribe someone.
That's how it works. Yeah, that's how it works. In order to get the army, you got to drive. But you didn't have to bribe anybody. I mean, these guys are not, and that's the thing, right? Like, the guy's like, I'll quit everything. I'm just going to go to war and defend my country. Yeah. And but sorry, go ahead. You're going to say something.
Yeah. So it's not actually about money so much, but the fact that it's also so much paid, of course, makes it such an attractive job.
It's just fucked. It's fucked. You know what else is fucked is how you guys find time to have fun. Like, seeing you walk through the park, or this video where you got together with your buddy Peter in a coffee shop. Like, the war's raging. Watch this video, Locke. You'll fucking love it. Watch this.
Hey guys, this is my old buddy, Peter. He's a great coffee man. This is his place right in the downtown of Cherkasy, called Brew Love. Such a wonderful name for it. So we just met here. He evacuated his family to the western Ukraine from Kyiv, came back here to work. He works, and this is also a front, because he fights like this. He pays taxes, he helps the army, he helps the government. So thank you, Peter, for everything you're doing. Yeah. Slava Ukraini.
Like, I don't know what it is, just seeing you smile and say Slava Ukraini and looking at this picture of you guys smiling in the middle of a war. Like, what kind of relief is this? Just even going around and doing these videos, like, this must give you some kind of life, Alex. It really must.
Yeah, because we just, I'm really happy that there is lots of talks on the radio from psychologists, because Ukraine is naturally alien to any thoughts about doing some psychotherapy. What you guys in the States have, in the States and Canada, is like it's normal to go to a psychotherapist. For Ukraine, it's a totally new concept. But now
maybe I'm Ukrainian.
Yeah, for Ukrainians, Ukrainians do not go to us. Ukrainians even
suck it up.
Yeah,
rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
but it's really important in the wartime that the people start adjusting to the new realities. So this is the way for us to adjust to new realities. We cannot we can get crazy if we think about the war all the time, read the news. We must have some, free time. We have time for a walk with the baby. We have what do you call it? Baby bath time for the baby. When we just relax, we even do family gathering together with online broadcast of baby bath time. And it's fun. It's we just have to find little pleasant things. We went to this coffee shop because Petya is my old friend. He said, "Come over, I'll treat you with some coffee," and it was so nice. My wife hasn't been in such places for a whole month. And we just drank coffee, and it looks so good. It's just like, okay, it's a piece of normal life.
How grateful, and not just grateful, but like, I guess it is. How grateful are you for those moments that 2 months ago
Normalcy.
you're like, "Fuck, hurry up with my coffee," right?
Yeah, exactly. We're a lot more grateful now, and we appreciate it. Whatever signal from our past life is a very pleasant moment, and it's like the other day my wife said, "Let's watch a movie. Let's watch a movie," and yeah, we watched the movie. It was not a comedy; it was a serious movie, but still we watched it and we relaxed. And by the way, yesterday I drank my first bottle of beer in the entire month.
Attaboy.
Me too.
Just one? Did you just have the one?
Just one, yeah.
And how delicious did it taste? Take us through that beer. Yeah,
Yeah.
what touched your lips? Eh?
It was like, oh, it was good. It was good. But the last time we talked, I said that the alcohol is prohibited since the beginning of the war, which is good. But now, in some areas that are not in the war zone, the local governments allow for the sales of alcohol because it gives, taxes, important taxes to the government budget.
Mhm.
Well, and we've had numerous conversations on this podcast about the volunteering and the work you're doing and the battle that you guys are in and just how courageous these people are. But the thing that I keep getting blown away by, Alex, is these stories like of people like you that are like, okay, well, I'm not a military guy. I'm not going to be able to help in that regard. How can I help? Finding a way. Peter, going out of his way to get his family to safety, then coming back and going, you know what? Fuck Putin. How do you say that in Ukraine again?
Nahuy.
Yeah.
Nahuy.
Nahuy Putin. And just fuck him. I'm going to run my coffee shop. I'm going to contribute to the local economy. I'm going to give the people in this area a piece of some sense of normalcy because this is what I need to do. This is what I can do. Did you see how quickly he went back to the machine as soon as you were done with your video? Right? Like, to me, that just says more about what you guys, your makeup and what you guys are about than anything, any video I see of you guys blowing up tanks or anything.
Although those are cool.
Those are cool. But that's why I think a lot of people that watch this podcast, and I've had countless people reach out to me online, on social media, and in person, going, keep bringing Alex back. We need to see him. So it's important for us back here to I get up every morning and I take a look at my phone and make sure to see if you've released a new video, right? So I watched the Peter video this morning when I was sitting on the shitter getting ready to go to work. So yeah, no, love it. Keep it going, Alex. And I hope this isn't too much of an inconvenience, these interviews on this podcast with us, my friend.
Well, this only gives me a lot of energy, and thank you for this atmosphere and a real inspiration. And I'm really happy to see you guys, and I'm really happy that I can at least give you a little bit of the feeling of what it's like. And an important message, just like you said, fuck Putin. enough with Putin. We are not afraid. Petya is not afraid. That lady, the coffee shop, I first wanted to shot a video with her, but then the other people came to buy coffee and it was too late. She's just a slender 30 years old girl, a mother of 3 children. She's a commander at home.
Yeah.
And she's not afraid. No one is afraid of those beasts.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
not afraid.
that's why we love having you on, is
Yeah.
because you make everybody a little tougher. You make everybody a little stronger. You make everybody a little bit better. And I want to thank you again for taking time, and thank you for telling us we're not an inconvenience in your life, because I don't know who needs this more, maybe us or you, but I want to thank you for your friendship again. I want to thank you for your effort. I want to tell you that we're still in it with you. We're behind you. We're with you every day. And I got all kinds of time for you, Alex. Thank you for making our life better today. I appreciate it, my man.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you,
Take care of your family. Take care of your
talk.
family, big guy.
Oh, he will.
Thanks,
We'll talk to
everyone.
you soon.
Yeah.
There you go. Alex Dayrabekov. He is in Ukraine, Cherkasy, Ukraine. He's my friend. That guy's my friend.
Oh, good guy. I fucking love him. Dayrabekov on Twitter. It's just his last name. I just retweeted his handle. Go give him a follow. Again, I'm not even kidding. I get up every day and I search for Alex's Twitter account to see if he's released a new video. He's usually every 2 or 3 days. So, yeah. And it's always a video like the couple that we played here today, where he's in the park with his wife and his kid, trying to show a piece of them trying to get some normalcy back in their lives. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating.
I think his message is important. I think if you're in the middle of something, no matter what it is, no matter, how deep in the shit you are, there's probably something about what you bring to the table, what you've learned in your life that could be beneficial to the times you're dealing with. And that's what Alex did. And he was like, okay, I am not going to grab a rifle and head down to the line. I'm not. How can I help out? Okay, this is how. I'm great at organizing things. And I'm going to raise some money and I'm going to fucking help some people out.
Yeah. He knows his role in that, right? Like that's the thing is we're all fucked, like, as individuals. When I talk to him, he settles me down for some reason. And I think it's the acceptance, right? Like, I think it's the and we go back to this all the time, the acceptance of what he's doing, the gratefulness for the little things, his way of responding to something that he can't control. You and I talk about this all the time. He's not going to control the war. He can't stop it. He can't stop people from bombing his house or destroying his new home. He can't prevent Putin from bombing his town. All he can do is put one foot in front of the other. And what he said was he was so grateful for a pint of beer, right? It tasted so good. And he only had one, but he was so grateful for it. He was so grateful to be able to go for a walk in the park. When someone asks me to go for a walk in the park, I go like this. Oh, fuck, serious right now?
Yeah.
Are you joking? Let's go get a coffee at a kiosk in the park, go for a walk in the sunshine. And they're fucking raining bombs on him. And he's like, let's go for a walk. We can control that. That is a lesson and should be a lesson to every single podunk fucking loser or every angry individual who's so pissed off at the world because they didn't get what they wanted out of a day or a month or a year. Yeah. Fucking think about a guy like Alex. Think about that and know that that's what you can control on a daily basis. Just your shit on a daily basis and accepting where you are and deciding that you're going to make your life a little bit better in incremental ways, right? We get so caught up in the bullshit that he just says, hey, we're basic needs here. It's food, shelter. That's it. That's all we have. Mm-hmm. And so if we can find a way to be happy in little morsels, we do it. Sorry to interrupt you, Locke. I didn't mean to.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I every time we have Alex on, I reflect on something I'm going through in my life, right? And it makes me aware of just how fucking ridiculous my life is. I spent 15 minutes yelling, not calmly, yelling to Jimmy in the car ride on the way into work about a passive-aggressive dick text that I got from a coworker. Right? I almost let this stupid fucking text ruined my complete day. And Jimmy, when we got to the underground parking at Cruise, went, okay, deep breath, Locke. You can't control that asshole. Let's go have a show. And I'm like, that's a good point. And then I come on the podcast and we got Alex, who tells us about the first beer he's had in a month. I'm going to have to go to the liquor store to get an emergency bridge pack because I've almost finished my 48 pack that's supposed to last me 2 weeks. And I don't even want to talk about the drinking that I've been doing outside of my basement, which increases the number of beers that I've had in the last 2 weeks. So it's embarrassing, right?
It is, but it isn't. It's a fucking great wake-up call, right, for everybody. That's why I love putting them on. It's like every time I have them on, it's a reset, right?
And you know what? I'll add to it. It's not just what he's going through and how he's dealing with it and how he's chosen to accept what he's going through for him and his family and to try to be a part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. It's about the fact that that fucking guy can just light this screen up with his smile. And every day he wakes up and could be fucking dead from a bomb that hits his building. And that's the thing that just sends me every time is that we can get that guy to smile. And that smile means everything, right? Like fucking great.
Not
story.
just to him. Yeah, he's a great story. Speaking of great stories and guys that are grateful, please welcome
Where are
to the
you?
program. Army Chris, ladies and gentlemen.
He's not in town.
I'm in the fucking junk room at my office, man.
Okay.
I'm in Kitimat, BC, buddy. Drinking water. There, you saw it here first.
I got to tell you, I saw you drink some water like 5 minutes ago before we got on, and I'm like, clearly he's working.
I didn't know you could use it for this.
Yeah, you can use it for hydrating. You can use it for peeing. You can use it for... How are you, brother? You all right?
Good.
Yeah. How's Mexico? You survived?
Oh, man. It was, weeks enough.
A week's enough. Did you have the shakes when you got back? You go through DTs?
Yeah, I went into a fetal position on my couch for 2 days.
Well, I was trying to explain to Dean and Rook about when you were away. I said we may want to limit how much we use Army Chris because he's going away. He's going to Mexico with his friend Dave. And these two are legends, and they're going to go down there, and they're going to go on a fucking run. And Rook texts back, and he goes, doesn't he do that all the time? And I'm like, this is different.
Yeah, a little bit.
What is that?
This is
because
next level.
You got the time consumption curve when you're not on vacation, but on vacation, like I don't know if you remember when you were on with us. I highly doubt it. You do know you were on with us for one of your vacation days, right?
Yeah, I can't think so. I was on.
You were on tequila.
I did 3, and I forgot one of them was my own.
The best part of the one we had you on from your balcony or deck or whatever it was in the place you were staying was you had to take a leak. So you decided it was a good idea to put somebody on the camera. So there wasn't just, so you called Dave over and you're like, stand in. And Dave just wanders in from like,
with his tiny nipples.
Yeah. And just stands there like this. And he just kind of looks over and then he just like.
He didn't know what to do. He thought he was in one of those fucking photo booths.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
you kept looking at us.
I'm glad you're okay. And I'm assuming Dave's all right. Like, did he get back?
Dave will be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He went through the normal anal raping at the airport. Like, he's that guy. I've traveled with him for like over 10 years now. And like, if you're going to get randomly selected for the worst shit that could ever happen to you in your life at any given airport on the planet, fucking Dave's the guy getting pinged every time.
He got pinged in his Vegas asshole? For something too.
Did they look in his asshole?
Oh, just about. Like,
see,
I remember,
they get the random selection, right, where they got to do the extra search, right? And both times when we went down and when we came back, it rang for Dave because we traveled to Vegas with these two assholes. And Dave got pulled aside and he got it's just one extra level of searching. You get like patted down or whatever. Dave was so pissed off that he got randomly selected for the extra screening. And at one point on the way home, he was yelling at them that I've served my country.
This is the guy. There's nothing that stresses Dave out more than airports. Now, you got to put this into context. This guy was in the Canadian Airborne Regiment, the Canadian Special Operations Regiment. He is a master breacher. He is a explosive ordnance disposal technician who did, over 100 IEDs in Afghanistan. Not a fucking problem. But you go through airport security and he is losing it. By the time we get to the airport bar, he's sitting there sweating, staring directly to the front with a pie in his hand, and don't talk to him for 3 minutes.
Oh, so he's totally
Dave's
normal.
a beaut.
That's good. Yeah, he is.
Dave's a beaut.
Okay, so Army Chris, he's the host of a podcast called Fire for Effect. It's a great podcast. He's a 25-year combat veteran. He knows a lot about everything that's going on in Ukraine. We've been leaning on you heavily for the past couple of weeks after you took your week off. I mean, the last one you were on, it was just a shit show. But the bottom line is you've been invaluable, obviously, because of your history in the Army, your history with the Canadian Forces, and you understand, what's at play here. So two things I want to get to. What's so funny, Lon? You all right?
Tiny nipple Dave
Tiny nipple Dave.
in the comments.
Nipples Dave. Oh, yeah, in the comment section. Look at that. Nipples Dave.
I'm glad he's not watching this, man.
So, before we get to, because we've got some Canadian Army news to talk about, apparently we're going to splash out and buy like 88 F-35 jets because Putin scared the shit out of Trudeau, and he's like, we need to buy some jets right now. So that's
we
apparently
kind of
what's
share
happening.
a border with Russia.
A little bit. So I want to get to that, but I want to get to what's going on with Ukraine because we heard today, and we just had Alex Dayrabekov on. He's live in the Ukraine. Russia's pulling back out of Kyiv. They're getting their asses kicked. And do you remember the conversation we had a few weeks ago where you're like, all these shitty guys coming in from Russia getting their asses handed to them, mowed over. There's a B team. Apparently, there's no B team. Everybody else is shit. What do you make of the Ukrainian people 30 days in getting a bunch of territory back, a bunch of cities back, and Russia saying, "Oh, we're gonna go somewhere else and figure it out." Like, how do you process what's going on there? Like 30 days in.
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, you got to hand it to the people of Ukraine and their resolve. So I tip my hat to them for sure, because they've dug in and they've nutted up, unlike the people of Afghanistan, and held their ground. So that's one piece to it for sure. The piece that perplexes me, and I'm glad I was wrong, and I remember saying, weeks ago, I hope I'm fucking wrong, and that there is no B team coming in behind the cannon fodder, and that the Russian army actually sucks. Well, good news, everyone. The Russian army fucking sucks. Like, they're fucking junk. It's unbelievable. I cannot believe it. And I credit the success, to me, feels like they've got all the heavy metal in the world, but they failed to do a whole bunch of things that I thought they were going to do, and they did it half-assed. The first thing, they didn't establish air superiority. That never happened. That's still contested to this day as to who actually has air superiority. So that's one problem for the Russians. The second problem is they never went with a heavy bombing campaign. They started, but they didn't take out any key communication infrastructure. Like, there's still fucking internet. Like, you're talking to guys, Alex. I'm talking to my buddy Marcel. There's all kinds of tweets, and so there's the internet is still there while the country's being leveled. So the C2, the command and control, exists for the Ukraine to spread that information. So the Russians failed there. And then the biggest one to me, from what I'm seeing, is their supply lines, their supply chain to feed the forward, their forward elements, be it tanks, infantry, whatever, is fucked. They got these shitty old trucks that sat forever with Chinese-made tires that are soft-skinned vehicles that are getting brewed up by the Ukrainian military. They have no ability to resupply themselves, so they stretch themselves so thin as they advance towards Kiev and all the key cities that it doesn't matter if you have this big, huge fucking tank. If it's got no fuel and no ammunition, it's basically a useless piece of kit. Those are there is
a concern that and Rick just actually commented on it, that this is not necessarily pulling back, but maybe it's a you know, it's a smokescreen for another tactic. And do you think that could be the case? I know people that know way more about this than I do, that are evaluating this, have been commenting that the pullback has a lot to do with the fact that what you just said, the supply chain, they never established it, and they've left that force that's trying to surround Kiev, they've left them completely fucking on their own because they can't get them any supplies, and so they're fucked if they stay, so they got to get back. But do you think there's a possibility that Russia could be planning something a little bit more severe, like a chemical attack, like Rick was saying there?
Well, okay, for conventional use of forces, this isn't a feint where we're going to make it look like we're going to pull back and then we're going to come in over here. No, the Russians don't operate that way. That's purely a supply chain problem. If they're going to pull back and start hammering in chemical weapons and shit, man, I hope that's a total fucking game changer. To me, it's simply supply chain problem. Putin goes, all right, propaganda machine, tell them that was our plan all along and phase one's done. Like, shut the fuck up, man. No, it's not. You shit the bed. So what are you going to do? You're going to regroup and grab areas in the east, sit down during this ceasefire talks in Turkey and go, well, we'll just grab what we can, which we feel are Russian sympathizers and Russian people on the eastern borders of Ukraine, and just try to annex. To me, that's his only concession, is annex the pieces that he's already kind of controlled that are already on the eastern border from the Crimea all the way up. That's it. I think he's realized that conventionally in the methodology he's been using to seize these key cities is fucking pointless. He's lost upwards of 15,000 by NATO estimates. 15,000 people have been killed on the Russian side, and he can't supply it. So he way overestimated his ability to seize all the ground that he wanted to. So he's sitting there pondering his next move, and that's what I see it as. I don't think this is a feint at all. Could be wrong. Fuck, I've been wrong so far. I thought they had an A team. Nope.
They got nothing. Yeah. One of the things I read this morning, and it was a fucking great little stat. And you see these which tell the story, right? The Russian army is minus 530 tanks, minus 530 in a month.
Yeah.
The Ukrainian army is plus 73. Plus 73
the
tanks.
Russian tanks.
They're just fucking stealing their shit.
Like, they know how to use them. They use the same shit, right? So all the Ukraine's equipment is all former Eastern Bloc equipment. You look at all those countries that used to be Eastern Bloc countries, part of the Iron Curtain, they're all using the same similar or like type of equipment. So it's very easy for the Ukraine to steal a T-72 off of the Russians and in a matter of minutes know how to use it. That's perfect for them.
Is that like is this like the pullback in Kyiv from a military perspective? It's just an excuse, right? The basis for that decision is he's losing.
Yeah, so what he's doing in military terms, he's going to reconstitute. And that means he knows his commanders are telling him, we are stalemate here. We can't gain ground, and we're going to continue to take casualties because, in my opinion, we have a fucking supply chain problem. So pull back to an area where you can reconstitute. Okay. And, and then figure out what your next move looks like from there. But there's no point in staying where he is.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think has been happening during this war that is there's a lot of unique things that have been happening during this war, and one of them is how we're getting information, and I think it might have a little bit to do with sort of a shift in mindset when it comes to how this is released to the public based on the fake news world that we're at. And I've heard a lot of pundits talking about this, bringing it up. They've suggested that this strategy is needed, that keeping information like shit that you're getting by way of the CIA or whatever the fuck it is behind the scenes, rather than hold it, not say anything to the public, you got to release it, get it out there. And it might be a Biden thing. Fuck, I don't know. But we're hearing things ahead of time before they're happening on plans Russia has in Ukraine strategically. So it does concern me that we are hearing things about the potential for chemical attacks and things like that. What weapons do we? I guess we kind of know what Russia has and their capabilities are. Is there anything we should be worried? I keep hearing this ground level nuclear shit. Like what's that, Chris?
Well, he's got everything from intercontinental ballistic missiles. Read Cold War, when we were all scared of World War III in the 80s. For those of you old enough to remember that, Locke, I know you are. Mm-hmm. But he's also got tactical nuclear weapons. So those would be strategic nukes.
Right? Strategic nukes, yeah.
He also has tactical nuclear weapons, which can be launched from trucks, submarines, whatever, that are shorter range, 200-300 kilometers type stuff that he could utilize if he went that route. I don't know what their chemical capability is. I haven't really tracked that. So I don't want to speak to the chemical capability, but I know it's there. I know it exists. But he has those options. But I mean, that's like down to the wire. That's like conceding that we have no other option but to eradicate people through chemical or nuclear warfare.
Because that would impact anybody he has on the ground too, right? Like, what does that look like?
Good, if he's going to seize that ground, right? So, I mean, if he goes to nukes, you can't just walk in there with a bunch of guys. If he goes to chemical warfare, he can fire in chemical weapons, and then his NBC, nuclear, biological, chemical guys can come in, depending on what type of chemical it is, suited up in the proper equipment to be able to operate and hold ground in a chemical environment until such time as they can sanitize the areas that they would live in, which is a whole other operation. Is if I fire a chemical weapon, let's just say into a very small confined area, then they need to come in, make sure it's actually been cleared out. They need to be able to sanitize the area to simplify the term. That they're going to operate out of, right? They just can't walk around. You cannot stay in top high, which is an order of dress, full NBC suit forever. You need to be able to bring in and clean, an area up that is free of whatever that chemical agent was that you were using to operate out of there. And then you wait for the dissipation period, or you continue to clean it up. It's a fucking nightmare. I mean, when you go to chemical weapons, it's just designed to do one thing: kill people. That's it.
Yeah,
right?
In like the most egregiously gross way possible.
Yeah, you can use it as a threat, saying, well, if we fire chemical weapons into this area, which scares the shit out of the enemy, so they evacuate the area and then you occupy it. But I don't know. These
It's still scary, dude, because the guy's so nuts. Like yesterday, Russia's like, we're not going to use nukes or chemical weapons. I'm like, you fucking lie every day, every second of every fucking day.
That's what you read. I mean, I try to, like I told you guys before, I try to read 5 different news sources, from Israeli media to Al Jazeera to CTV to CNN, and try to find some commonalities to paint a picture.
Yeah.
BBC World News you would think would be good, but fuck.
Well, and everyone's being fairly cautious when they deliver news too, right? Like I heard a guy a couple of days ago say they were poisoning a Ukrainian on the panel to discuss peace talks. That Russia and the girl on the news, the woman, she was like, whoa. She jumped in right away. She said, we have not been able to confirm that information just yet. You know what? The interesting thing about where we're at right now with Ukraine and how much of an impact it's having on the information and distribution of information around the world, I think is having a lot of impact on how news outlets deliver information.
Huge.
And to a benefit, because everyone's done with the fucking bullshit, fake news, calling this story. Everyone's fucking done with it. I am seeing so many people online get attacked when they push out something that they think is fucking wrong or right, that proves some narrative that they want to live, some world they want to live in.
Yeah.
Right?
Like you need stupid meme to like substantiate some bullshit argument about, yeah, fuck. And you know what? That's the strength that I've seen. Just a quick aside. That's a huge sea change, and it's happened since the convoy,
Yes.
right? Like the convoy, where everybody was like afraid to fight back, afraid to shit on people, afraid to say "go fuck yourself," you're full of garbage, and block
changed.
people. It is not only changed, it is like the ratioing that's going on of the fake news fucking losers that are part of the machine. It's like you know who they are like almost immediately now, which is incredible. Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing about what we do, Dean, and I don't want to make this about us, but I can't
kind of
believe
do. I kind of do.
I can't believe how many people come to me on a fairly regular basis and go, listen, we know you have your head up your ass, but we trust you because of how you deliver information on your show and on the podcast with Dean. And I think what's starting to happen is there's starting to be people are starting to gravitate to stuff like what we're doing live weekdays, except Fridays, unless that changes, starting to gravitate towards it because they're looking for alternative sources of information because they don't trust what's happening with the fucking traditional sources. Sorry, Army Chris.
They're fucking run by corporations, man. I was talking about this about a month ago. Like, and there was a quote and I lost it. But anyway, they're run by corporations, or in the case of Russia, the state. So where does that leave you when those interests of those big corporations drive it? So alternative sources of media, which there's a flip side of that coin too, as you guys well know, with all the crazy shit that's coming out and the messaging. So I don't know.
Well, did you watch Alex on with us?
No, I was working, dude.
Well, he made an interesting comment because we were talking about him about the about how he's getting his news. Like, how is this information being disseminated down? Are you hearing about the peace talks as they happen in Turkey?
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, yes. And not only that, the 3 or 4 or 5 major news outlets in the Ukraine got together in the last couple of weeks and said, we have a war. We have an information war on our hands. And the only way we can fight this is to fucking pool our resources, and we all need to fucking work together. So in Ukraine right now,
Locke, do you think you can trust that side too? Because if you're talking about info operations campaigns in order to bolster your people on either side, what makes you think the Ukrainian news sources are any more accurate than
but I think what's happening in the Ukraine right now, Army Chris, is it's not about trying to paint a narrative. It's about getting information to the citizens so that they can stay safe. So it's not about making a buck right now. It's the shift in philosophy has changed. It's not about keeping eyeballs on so that you can get them a fucking Nike commercial. It's about getting people information so that they can get their fucking grandmother out of Mariupol, right? Like, so that they can fucking find out when the next opportunity for a delivery of bottles of water. And that's and they're combating a propaganda machine that's trying to convince 100 million people right next to them that this war is legitimate and that it's to denazify or whatever the message is from Russia to its people. So I understand what you're saying, and I understand that there's maybe a potential for the Ukraine side of this to shift it a little bit, but I would tend to believe them a little bit more than I would anybody else reporting on this.
That's fair, and I like that. If that's what they're doing, if the media has actually got together to collaborate with the government and the military to use the media, in an effort.
They have, Chris. So what happened over there? Let me just kind of give you a quick Cole's notes and you can continue. What happened over there to Locke's point is every TV station got together. They're all broadcasting the same shit. Every newspaper got together. They're all putting out the same information. And it's about how to get out of certain cities, where to go get water, where to get food, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. So you're talking extreme public service announcements and to help the population navigate the battle space around them. I love that. That's good. It's really good.
Yeah, and they're consolidating information about the war that way too, so that people of Ukraine can kind of get one thing, right? Like one specific
from what Alex
piece of
said,
information.
Dean, he also said radio stations are doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah, radio stations just like broadcasting.
Let's take a break from playing La Bamba and get some information out there, right?
No, they listen to it. Like Ukraine's big time into 80s heavy metal. They don't do La Bamba.
Yeah.
They don't do salsa. They're big heavy
All right.
metal guys. Yeah.
Cherry
and
Pie,
Bon
Warren.
Jovi. Yeah, they
Yeah.
love Warren.
We'll have to get their
Love
top
Poison.
list and see what they're playing over there.
Yeah, we will. Real quick, this happened yesterday, and I think it has a lot to do with Ukraine. Chris, want to ask you about this because this is your wheelhouse. Canada announced plans on Monday to buy 88 U.S.-made F-35 stealth fighter jets, replacing its aging fleet to meet new threats from Russia. The new aircraft central role will be to patrol North American airspace with U.S. Air Force. So 88 to replace those 30, 40, 50-year-old CF-18s. We all know we have garbage Air Force. I don't have a problem with this, but the history of this is kind of interesting, and the timing's fascinating, too, because it's almost as if the Liberal government was like, holy fuck, we need to get some jets. Like, is that not the feel? Because I thought we were buying these things like 10 years ago, no?
Well, funny you bring that up, and I don't like to bring up politics, as you guys well know, but Canada's invested over $600 million and was part of one of the 8 countries on the original Joint Strike Fighter project from 1997. The original procurement timelines for this by a previous government was in 2010. Okay, long before the rise of ISIS, and the Soviet Union was not a threat, or the former Soviet Union. Liberal government axed the project. When Trudeau came to power, they said, no, it was sole source, blah, blah, blah. We need to have a fair, open competition in order to procure a new aircraft to replace our aging fleet. So they axed it. So boom, just kind of like the EH-101, which we also bought. So fast forward, he knee-jerks. My guess is, and I'm going to make this short so we can get into fucking military shit, is that, first of all, he's knee-jerking and realizes that Russia is a threat. If it's a threat to the east, or if it's a threat to the Ukraine, it's a threat to our sovereignty in the north, because who knows what he's going to do next. Number 2, he got chastised for Canada's GDP spending of 1.35% on military versus the NATO minimum of 2%. So there's a little bit of pressure from NATO, and obviously, you know, they did run a fair competition. They did rule out the next best aircraft would have been the F-18 Super Hornet, but Boeing fucked us, so we went, fuck you, which I love, and bought the F-35 Lightning II. I don't know which variant it is, but probably the A, and thank God, because it is the plane they always should have bought and had planned to buy.
Is this plane built in Canada on any level or no?
Yes, it's going to be. Yep.
Oh, good. Okay.
What kind of payload are we talking with these bitches? Like what? I saw
I love it when Dean uses words like payload.
What kind of payload for these F-35 bitches? Because I read 22. Like if they could load up 22,000 pounds worth of shit on one of them, and if it's 17. Stealth mode, it's like, is it 17? Is that correct?
Yeah. So in stealth mode, all the weapons are internal.
By the way.
Okay?
Just to kind of go back, because Locke was like, I love it when Dean uses jargon. I felt cool for a second, so fuck off.
You did a great job.
Thanks,
you sounded like Tom Cruise from Top Gun.
Hey, I need a sit rep on the payload of these bitches. Come on, let's go.
Let's go. So I'll give you some basic specs in relation to the current F-18. It is not as fast because it's a single engine aircraft. But those engines produce 40,000 pounds of thrust versus 36,000 pounds of thrust. There's some more keywords for you.
All right. Thank you.
Write that down. Thrust.
Write that down. Thrust, payload.
Payload, dirt.
Heavy. It can carry, that's arguable on ordnance. With the external ordnance that the F-35 can carry, I think about even or maybe a little bit more. On the external payload, where you have secure airspace and stealth's not an issue. So yeah, it can carry, and it can actually, the big thing is not necessarily the weapons or the weight, it's what they are. Can the weapon systems that they're using actually interface with the system itself, with the avionics and the onboard computers? Right?
That's the question mark right now around the technology that we have to, I guess, control the airspace in the north.
Correct.
So is that part of the reason why they picked the F-35?
Absolutely. The F-35 is the way to go, because the bulk of our NATO allies have also selected that aircraft, specifically the United States. And in order to interface, to properly interface, without getting too technical about how these planes talk to each other and talk to land-based systems, sea-based systems, and other air-based systems. It is the ability to network. So to simplify this for people, if you got an iPhone, okay, if you don't have an iPhone, first of all, you're probably an anti-vaxxer and you have a fucking Android, so fuck you. If you have an iPhone, you know how you can go airdrop and send a picture to each other, like all that wonderful shit?
Yeah.
This is what these planes do. If a U.S. F-35 flies up beside a Canadian one, or two squadrons are in the air, they can instantly share information. They can.
Do we not have to update?
That's fucking unbelievable. That is awesome. Like
Yeah.
this is why I like talking to Chris, because A, he's fucked in the head, but B, he knows this shit back to front. He's like an ordnance master. But like that's fucking incredible that those planes fucking talk to each other, and it makes sense, right? If we're gonna splash out and update our shit, you want to splash out and update your shit with your neighbor who can afford all of them. Like, you know,
so
what I
we
mean?
just got the right Apple to hang on to your analogy here. We just got the latest version. Are we still behind the 8 ball here on technology?
No, we'll buy the A variant, which is the generic Air Force variant.
Yeah.
Okay. It requires long runways. The B variant allows for vertical takeoff, more money. We don't really need that. Maybe we are buying a mixed bag, but I can't see that happening. And then there's the C variant, which is the Navy variant to land on carriers. So there's 3 variants. I'm pretty sure Canada's going to buy the A version. The only it'll allow better interoperability when we are deployed with other militaries, because what we don't have is all the other shit that to talk to it. So none of our ground-based
That's what I was going to say. Now we have to update all that fucking information or all that technology.
Maybe a little bit here and there, not to the level the Americans will, but
Locke's upset about it. Locke's upset because it includes an extra purchase he wasn't counting on.
You know what?
This thing is designed to talk to the entire spectrum, right? From ground to sea to other air assets like an E3 AWACS that does radar. So by the time the days of having to fucking identify what kind of bad guy plane you're going to go engage in an air-to-air, some fucking other AWACS plane already told you and fed your computer that. So you know it's MiG-29s, Su-27s. You know what you're going to be engaging. Same as ground targets. And then the HUD in the helmet, instead of that little HUD on the screen, it's built into this $40 million fucking helmet where it doesn't matter where that guy looks. He's seeing all that shit, whether he looks up, down, behind him. He can identify friend or foe. He can identify what kind of target it is. He can toggle through what information he wants to see, and it's right in front of his face. Like
with his helmet? He can just do it with his helmet. Everything's in his helmet.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Fucking unbelievable. Crazy. Each helmet for one of these things is worth $40 million.
I think it's $40 million a helmet.
Fucking you drop one of those, right?
I'll double check that number. Yeah, don't drop it.
I dropped it.
I'd be the guy that drops his fucking helmet. You know what? Army Chris and I, we're gonna get our fucking jean shorts on, and we're going to fucking the next Top Gun. You going with me?
Yeah,
I gotta go to Top Gun with fucking Army Chris.
So it is.
Then we're gonna go play volleyball.
With 100% the aircraft we need. It'll take a while for the Canadian military to upgrade all of its stuff, Navy and ground-based, to talk to these. But right now, we need interoperability with our other partnered air forces, and this aircraft is the only one that will do that to the best of its ability. But
so this was a good move. This, like, for Canada, this is a good, like, because everybody's fucking losing their minds over this whole thing.
Listen, the price tag on this is going to be more than you think, okay? Because it was originally $9 billion to buy 88 aircraft or whatever it's going to be. They're already upgrading Bagotville. Ellis Don got the contracts to upgrade Bagotville and Four Wing Cold Lake, which is our 2 major fighter air bases in the country. So there's a ton of infrastructure. There's a spare parts fucking contract they're going to need to outfit these things. There's the training for all the Canadian Forces pilots who have to be trained on them prior to 2025, assuming we receive the first ones at that time. Airfield up, all the maintenance. There's a fucking huge bill coming just to keep these things flying that people don't even know about yet. But is it the right aircraft? Absolutely, it's the right aircraft.
Good.
Always,
That's what I was confused
could have
by.
had it 10 years ago, man.
There's so much fighting about it that I was confused by all the information coming at me as to whether or not we got the right plane. And that's what I said to Dean. I said, we should fucking bring somebody on to talk about whether or not this was the right decision plane wise.
This guy knows everything about the plane. This guy knows
This is
everything
why
about
we've been involved in the Joint Strike Fighter program, which is what this is the evolution of that program since '97.
And we haven't been living up to our end of the commitment, right?
No, we were supposed to buy these fucking things in 2010, and I'm not going to rehash that.
We're trying to bring carbon tax down, Army Chris. That's been way more important. So,
Yeah.
right?
It's gonna bring
We're trying to figure out which juice box to use.
He's gonna bring the
he's
carbon
been very
tax
focused
up.
on that.
Who do you think is going to pay for these planes, man?
Us.
More carbon tax.
Us. Okay, so here's the thing. Is it? I know it's very childish for me to say this, but I'm just really happy Canada's getting to get some good military shit. Like, you know, the memes that go around where it's like a dinghy with like a Canadian military logo on the side of it. It's like Canada's Navy, like that kind of stuff. Or like, you know, a guy in a Cessna, it's like Canada's Air Force, and you're like, oh fuck, come on. But it's true. It's so true.
We bought the CF-18s in 1980. Where were you in 1980? Because I was like fucking 9.
I was just learning how to whack off.
Yeah, and then
I bought a Hall & Oates record that year.
We didn't get him in the air till 82. I was listening to Air Supply at the time on a Sanyo Walkmate because my dad was too cheap to get me a Sony Walkman, so I got the knockoff one from fucking Canadian Tire. Anyway, I have moved on since then.
Attaboy. Yeah.
No resentment at all.
That is how long, and we've seen some avionics upgrades in the F-18s, but I remember I was teaching NASA astronauts cold weather survival in 2000 up in Cold Lake, and American pilots would come up, and I got to sit in an F-18. It was being retired, and there was literally duct tape on the seat and shit. Like, I couldn't believe it, man.
Really?
Yeah.
And the American pilots would come up and look at the logbook, which told you the hours on the airframe, and they were like triple what the American pilot was allowed to fly in. So we've rode these things into the ground, and the Americans wouldn't even fly them. They're like, nope, I'm not even allowed to get into that fucking thing. This is true, man. That was like 22 years ago.
You're gonna have like an influx of like guys wanting to be fighter pilots when they see that we bought like 88 F-35s.
Oh, yeah.
I would think
100% you will.
Yeah.
100%.
You'll get,
no one wants
you'll
to fly
get,
that old.
You'll get guys that are like they're filling out their paperwork right now because of that news.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad because they had other options, and this was, what can I say? This was the plane to buy, in my opinion. Based on
only took them fucking 11 years to vet all this, right?
12.
Yeah.
12.
Actually.
Fucking
12.
idiots.
And if you go back to 97 and say, you know what I loved is all the airplane nerds in Canada after the F-35 was bought. It's like, we should have bought the Saab Gripen 2. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't-
And then
it
another
doesn't
guy's
matter
like,
what
you don't know
you
what
bought.
you're fucking talking about. The Super Hornet was the plane. We fucked our military yesterday. And I'm like, holy shit, a lot of people know a lot about fucking military airplanes. Like, there are a lot of military airplane nerds out there.
The Super Hornet was kind of the natural successor because it would have required lesser training, right? It's just the evolution of the Hornet program. And it was a kind of a front runner because it would have been cheaper. But if you know about the whole Boeing debacle, right?
Are
No,
Boeing
I don't know
planes
anything about it,
blowing
no.
up?
Well, here's Boeing put tariffs on. There was a problem with exporting Bombardiers, that new passenger plane, which is a kick-ass plane, that C series, and the tariffs put on that plane going in. Boeing had something to do with it. Was 300%. So Canada said, "Fuck you" to Boeing, and that's what bounced the Super Hornet out of the running. I'm paraphrasing, and I'm doing a shitty job of doing it. But look into that deal, Dean. You'll see why why Boeing was bounced out of it, mostly because of that bit. But even if you look at that, that's an easy solution. Super Hornet, great plane. It is not the F-35, and it's just leaving thrust out of it, leaving payload out of it. It's interoperability within NORAD and NATO makes it the choice, because we don't have all the other shit and toys and bells and whistles to talk to it, but the Americans do.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. Appreciate you doing
And
this.
who
Chris.
knows? We may end up at one point having to actually protect the northern fucking half of this country.
Yeah,
That's
right. Like,
not out of the fucking question.
yeah. That's the sad part about this whole discussion, right? I mean, and
well,
that's
what
why
Ukraine's
I'll
taught
pay
me,
more
right?
for a tank of gas.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with the inconveniences that we're experiencing with this because it's like you watch what's happening in the Ukraine. And you get a guy like Alex on the show, and you're like, "Do we have any shit?" You know what I mean? Like fuck, how obviously Russia has, the ballistic opportunity, and they've got the capability to be able to hit anything anywhere around the world, right? Russia and the United States do, maybe a handful of other countries, but like, do we have any shit? And so hearing that we're buying shit and like good shit, because it's always like these rumors that we're buying these Sea Kings, we're buying these, and everybody's like, oh, fuck, those are terrible. These are, to a man, every single person that knows anything about the F-35, like you, Chris, is like, this is the right move. Should have happened fucking a decade ago.
Absolutely.
You should have heard them twisting on the questions about the length of time it took them to come to the decision to buy these planes. And just like, holy shit, that needs to stop. Politicians need to fucking realize that we're not fucking idiots anymore, right? Like there's so much just fucking political maneuvering. Fuck, you know what? Just tell it like it is. We should have done this 10 years ago. We fucked up. The Ukraine situation right now scared the shit out of us. So we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we're buying 88 planes. And this is the plane that we're going to buy. Mm-hmm. End of story.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, the average Canadian's like, sure, great. Yeah, we're protected. Awesome.
It took you fucking 10 years. You killed this program when you shouldn't have killed it. It took you 10 years to come to a decision. What happened? Oh, what just took another fucking superpower to invade a country for no reason.
For you to shit your fucking pants. Anyway, Army Chris at the Army Chris on Twitter is where you can find him. Fire for Effect is the name of the podcast. Rate, subscribe, and do whatever it is. Review, subscribe to his podcast and download it, upload it.
Quite a few followers.
Yeah, he does.
You're building some really momentum with your pod there, buddy.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night we're going to talk about why Canadian and many other foreign fighters are leaving
Ukraine.
The Ukraine.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night.
All right.
Check it out.
I kind of want to know now before you go.
No.
Okay.
I gotta go.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
You want to learn anything more about payload? You come back, Army Chris.
Yeah, thanks for the sit rep on the payload and the specs. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Guys, thanks for your time. I gotta go back to work.
All right, take care. There's Army Chris, who has a real day job, 25-year combat veteran. What a fucking great guy. Love talking to him too.
He's doing logistics or something for. Like he goes in, he flies into Kitimat and he helps them set up like camps and shit like that, and how to move stuff around people and equipment and da 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 da.
Yeah, he's logistic. All Army guys, like when they get back, they get like guys that need help cleaning up their companies, like manual labor companies. You're like, go get an Army guy, and he's one of those Army guys, right? He's fucking brilliant at logistics. You can see him do it too. I could not believe he was drinking water, Locke. I had no fucking idea. I've never seen him drink water before in his life.
Well, I think it's a dry camp. Right. So I don't know if he's staying on camp or not. Like, I think he has his own place so he can go and have a couple of bevies tonight at Mr. Mike's in Kitimat.
Yeah, he will.
But I think while he's on site, I don't think he can drink.
Speaking
of find a way, he probably would.
Yeah. Speaking of which, a couple things I want to get to. Speaking of drinking, the Randy Hillier stuff. I don't know if you've been paying attention to it, but Randy Hillier got released on $35,000 bond yesterday. Did you see that?
Whoa. I didn't know it was that high. I knew he was out.
Yeah, 35 grand. So details of Randy's release, which is very, very funny. I thought he was out. And this is at deanblundell.com. Randy Hillier, independent member of Ontario's legislature, was released on $35,000 bond after he made an appearance. By the way, he could not smoke for 10 solid hours. So I take respite in that. I think it's fucking awesome. Justice of the Peace, he was given conditions. 2 kids. Justice of the Peace, Louise Logue, released him with several conditions, including prohibiting from posting on social media about the convoy, COVID-19 masks or vaccine mandates. He arrived at police headquarters early on yesterday morning, told reporters. He was advised by police on Sunday that the charges had been laid. He understood they were related to the occupation of downtown. This is where it gets really fucking interesting for me, Locke, because you and I are really accountable people. At least I like to think we are. Like when we get caught doing something, we're like, there's a day where you're like, you'd lie or get caught. You're like, you got me. All right, you got me, right? Like, and when there's like
I've been like that my whole life.
Yes, you have. That's why
If
we're
I make a
friends.
mistake, and it's
You
not about
own it.
lying because I'm not a liar.
No.
I mean, if I make a mistake and I need to own up to it, I will. I'm not
Right.
a huge fan of apologizing for shit that I don't necessarily feel like I should be apologizing for. That's a different conversation. If I fuck up and I hurt somebody's feelings or I say something out of turn, I will step up and be the bigger man and I will admit to it. Yes.
You admit that there's a problem because you live in an objective reality and you're a normal
Yes.
human being. Well, let me continue on with this Randy Hillier story. He said, differing and dissenting views are now apparently criminal and a disturbing trend, the 64-year-old said before heading into the police station. The 9 charges included 2 counts of obstructing resisting a public officer, 1 count of assaulting peace officer, 3 counts of counseling to commit an indictable offense, 2 of which are considered mischief, all bad. Before his arrest, Hillier said he had thousands of interactions with people, had no idea what led to the charges. Quote, I only ever greeted people with love and affection, an embrace and handshakes. So unless handshakes and warm embraces are considered assault, I have no idea. He forgets that the internet has a history. Let me bring this up. This is great. This is a tweet from him, made it to the command center with Maxime Bernier and others. Truckers, get downtown. If they try to get you to leave, stand your ground. They can't tow us all. So there's him partaking in criminal activity. He posted the picture. Not done there. There's another one of him with a couple of known criminals, including Paul Alexander, who's wanted by police, and a couple of other jackoffs, including Maxime Bernier, and I don't know who this fucking guy is, where they were talking about taking over Ottawa with force. There's that one. I don't know if you remember this tweet as well. Let freedom ring, gas cans and tank shells. This guy wanted to blow up Canada. And his excuse yesterday when he was released, he's like, I only hugged people and embraced people. I don't know what all the fucking big deal is. Like, I have no idea why everybody's so upset. No idea why I got charged. No idea.
I got to be honest. I'm interested in why this seems to be the path we're going with these people. Like Karima said something interesting the other day when we had her on. Thank God she's back. I thought I'd ruin that. Anyway, yeah, as much as I disagreed with what was happening and I realized that it was an unlawful occupation, they call it an occupation of Ottawa, it seems to me that this is aggressive. Randy Hillier should be accountable for his threatening tweets, in my opinion. But all of the other stuff, being involved in this, I'm questioning our intent, right? Because we can objectively, you and I, we can agree that what they were doing was wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's the point of it? Because I'm worried all they're doing is inflaming that side.
Good.
And all they're doing is making martyrs out of these people. What would it mean to you if let's say they said to you, okay, Dean Blundell, you're responsible now for dealing with the mess and the people that organized the 2022 convoy and occupation of Ottawa, right? And you had to actually hand down the verdict.
Mm-hmm.
What would you want to do to these people?
I'd want them to suffer natural consequences for the decisions that they made if they broke the law. Like, that's not too much to ask. In the big scheme of things, that's what we're talking about here. Like, there's nothing else at play in my mind when I talk about Randy Hillier or when I talk about Maxime.
But what do you
Bernier.
want? What do you want them to? What do you want them to like? Did you need? Do
Well,
they
that's
need
the thing.
Jail or
I don't know.
Never
I
be
don't
able
know.
to-
I want to follow the rules of the laws and the Constitution of Canada. I want to follow the letter of the law. I want us to put together cases to legitimately prosecute people who made an effort to hurt Canadians by being unlawful over the last 2 years. That's what I want.
That's where I'm confused.
What I want to see, with Randy Hillier. I want to see him go to jail for 7 to 10 years. I want to see the light leave his eyes. I want to see his family beg for his freedom. I want to see him beg for forgiveness, and I want
Does
to
he
see
deserve
him. Yeah, absolutely.
for
He
having
does.
an alternative
Absolutely.
opinion?
That's not an alternative opinion.
What did they?
Dude,
What
a
did
lie
they
is
do?
not an alternative opinion. Like that's you gotta start there. In my mind, you start there. You start with the very fact that he legitimately told people not to get vaccinated. He legitimately told people it was a Nazi collaboration on behalf of the government. He legitimately told people that we should bomb our politicians and hang them. He legitimately posted pictures of Hitler and called Canada a Nazi country. He legitimately pushed a police officer out of the way where he tried to go through a barricade during the convoy. He legitimately said he would like to die on that hill in Ottawa like a war, like Vimy Ridge. Let me play it for you. Do you remember this? I do. I totally.
In politics, we often hear an excuse. An excuse. And a cliche. Have you ever heard that excuse? Is that the hill you want to die on? Anybody ever hear that? We hear it in politics all the time. You don't want to die on that hill. Well, I'm telling everybody, and I'm telling that coward in the cottage, this is the hill we die on.
This is the hill we die on. We're going to die. And not to mention the closure of 5 borders in this country, which he helped engineer, not to mention, which is all in the charges. It's called counseling to commit an indictable offense.
I understand it. I just wonder. I wonder
That's
if
not
we're
an alternative
doing the
opinion.
unintended consequence of this and making martyrs out of these assholes, because that's what they're looking for. By making martyrs out of them, are we adding to the problem that already exists in this country and the division that continues to grow? I care.
I know
I
you
care because I want a way back.
Well, it's a new reality, dude. Like we talked about this several times, and this is what I believe is that we're not going back. Like we've crossed the Rubicon. We've tried to deconstruct the fact that 8,000 people showed up to Ottawa, and we have about 50,000 crazies in this country that want to replace a legitimately elected government with like theocratic Jesus freaks. That's all that whole fucking thing was. That's all Randy is. And he's a libertarian, and he's an idiot, and he's uneducated, and he's a fucking asshole. And he acted like a fucking asshole for 2 solid years. I know you hate him. I hate him. I hate everybody in that movement. I'm from that time in that school, though, where there were consequences for shit that you did, whether it was good or bad, right? Randy Hillier has upset the fruit basket, purposely made Canadians feel unsafe, caused immeasurable financial and mental damage over the past year. And if you just want to do the convoy, let's just fucking center our attention on the convoy, right? There are people that are going to jail for a long fucking period of time, and he was one of the organizers. So, having said all that, let's take the Twitter out. Let's just remove all the bullshit, all the threats, all the Nazi shit, all the anger, all the disruption, all the lies, like probably killing people by telling them not to get vaccinated. We don't have a fucking pandemic. Let's just remove all that. He committed a series of indictable offenses when he tried to take over the Canadian government with 8,000 fucking hillbilly rednecks.
But how they didn't do anything? They just went and they took over.
Because they couldn't.
Basically took over a street.
Yeah, dude. No, they took over the whole downtown. It's not just taking over a street.
I
they
understand
took over the
that.
downtown. They held
parked
people
their
hostage.
trucks. They held,
yes.
and it was fucking. It was egregious.
Right.
You're not gonna. I'm just wondering if that's worth 7 years in jail. That's where I'm at right now.
I think it's worth 30.
Yeah. See,
just because I want to see it.
I think we have to be careful when we handle guys like this, because I think you're doing more damage than good.
Can I ask you a question? What's the alternative? You let him go, and then that emboldens everybody else.
I don't know what the alternative is. I don't. That's why I'm confused here. Like, I want the punishment to be representative of what they actually did. Like down in the States, I've been following the January 6th resurrection or whatever they fucking call it. What are they?
Insurrection.
Insurrection. I've been following that, and the people that are getting fined down there, to me, that's different. That was a legitimate attempt. They broke into the Capitol building with the intent of taking over government, or at least I think that's what some of them thought that was, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, the people that were involved in that, and there was some serious fucking dudes. They had caches of arms hidden around Washington. Like, there was some serious fucking people involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
This was a bunch of idiots that I think were sick and tired of not having like tire fires in their small towns and came out of the woodwork in Western Canada, Quebec, and Ontario. And they were like, "Hey, cool, a bunch of like-minded fucking idiots. Let's all honk our horns." So I'm wondering, it didn't match the egregiousness of the attempt in the States, even though I think the organizers wanted it to be equivalent to that. For some reason, they kept bringing up the insurrection, the January 6th thing. So now
one of the guys that organized it,
losers,
Paul Alexander, one of the guys that organized January 6th is one of the guys, and January 6th is going to bubble over soon. Like, we're going to see some nasty shit. Like, today they announced that Trump has 7 hours of phone records missing from that day. Paul Alexander was in on it, and he was one of the organizers up here in Canada. Like, this is very fucking serious. And the reason why you're asking this question, and I love the idea, I love what you're trying to do, which is like, listen, do we want to make things like worse? Do we want to upset that group? My answer is yes. Yes,
why do we want to make? Why do we
well,
want
because
to make
the
Pat
second
King a hero?
well,
The guy's a
well,
fucking
we're not.
loser.
No, we want to send a message. We want to use a guy like Pat King. We want to use an asshole like Randy Hillier to be able to tell these people, hey, listen, you're going to get it. It's coming. This is the law. We are a law-abiding country that manages its people and its constitution under the premise of reasonable expectations and reasonable limitations. That was entirely unreasonable. Not just unreasonable, it was dangerous. It cost $1 billion and plus. It damaged the economy. It led to job losses. It led to suicide attempts. It led to women in Ottawa getting assaulted, men in Ottawa getting assaulted. Like, it was 8,000 fucking losers and rednecks and assholes. And he was the guy. He was the guy. Like, dude, we're just talking about what we know that we've seen him do. Those charges come with some fucking evidentiary shit that says, there you go. When we see it, then you can actually say, in my opinion, then everybody can say, well, the sentence was too much or the sentence was too light, if indeed he gets sentenced. But he is in a world of fucking trouble, and I can't stop masturbating.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I understand why you might get excited by it, right?
Yeah,
because it was frustrating. It was hard to watch, and like, I was angry at a lot of stuff too. We had Ray on the other day, just the conversation about how angry I am when I see a bunch of these guys with the upside down flags driving. It just pisses me off that we've kind of lost our flag. So right now.
Yeah,
or we've lost some of our symbolism, but is that enough to put somebody behind bars for 30 years?
That
I just don't know. I don't know.
Itself, no. But that's not what I think is being prosecuted.
And
right?
the thing that I think we need to include in the conversation at least is, okay, listen, we're in an interesting time right now, right? And all of this we've kind of avoided. The Ukraine thing has given us a nice little break from this division we currently find ourselves fighting against here in Canada. When you talk to these people, when you have a discussion with somebody that believes the convoy was going to save Canada, we were going to upset the government and remove Justin Trudeau from power, and that was the only thing that needed to happen here. When you talk to somebody that actually believes that, communicate with them on any level. I'm talking about on the phone, on text, on social media. Dean, it's like you're talking to somebody from another fucking planet.
Yeah.
They have this belief. And it's not like you and I sitting down having beers talking about our different religious or spiritual beliefs. This is a different beast. This is weird.
Mm-hmm.
These people they're fucking in it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
are they in it or are they out of it? Like that's a
they're
question
in
I would
that.
ask you. They're in it. They're in that. And I go back to the same two words: subjective reality.
Yeah.
They're living. They're taking their anger. They're taking their biases. They're taking their lack of information. They're taking their need to be right, their religion, and they're stuffing it into themselves and preventing any information in objective reality from coming in, right? Like they're like, nope, not interested. So in the big scheme of things, we have two societies that are currently operating in Canada, right? We've got, generally speaking, 95% of Canadians are like, yeah, I get it. We kind of live here. We get it. We know how we
I'd push that down to 90.
90, maybe 90.
Yeah, I hate to be that guy, but I think this is a bigger number and a bigger issue than we're seeing.
So you got 10% of this country. So I don't know, what is that? 3.5 million people. You got 3.5 million people who don't believe in subjective reality. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Really?
Yeah, I do not care. I haven't cared for months. Like to the point where it's like you read something that someone puts out that's so clearly inflammatory and stupid, and you read something that someone put out where it's like the New World Order is coming from you. I'm like, yeah, just delete, block. Like, I don't care. I don't even engage in it anymore. To the point where like someone will send me a tweet and they'll go, hey, this guy's coming after you. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about any of those people because number one, we're never going to control them or change their minds. Number two, the idea that Randy Hillier, outside of, the Schadenfreude and the entertainment and the content, Randy Hillier affects my day is zero. Like when I see something about Randy Hillier, I'm like, go to the wall. Fucking go all the way. Let this guy have it because every single person behind him, it's like, Randy's a martyr. I'm like, watch what happens to your fucking martyr who absolutely committed crimes, who absolutely should go to jail, who absolutely was charged with 9 different things after a very detailed investigation that took a month. So I don't care. I don't care about him. I don't care about the movement. The movement isn't a movement. We just have a whole bunch of really stupid, fucking dumb, religious, theocratic, redneck hillbillies that all went, oh, you're one of us. We're one of you. Let's get together. That's all that was, man. It's just validation for idiocy. That's all it is. And these idiots have been allowed to do illegal shit and scare a bunch of us for the last 2 years while we've been trying to fucking make it, trying to figure it out. Well, this is shit-eating season, bro. Like it is. This is where the rubber, as my fucking beautiful father, Jimmy Blundell, says, it's where the rubber meets the road, son. This is where the consequences live. And I fucking live for natural consequences. And I know I joke around a lot about saying, I'd love to see Randy Hillier go to jail for like ever. But I would, because he is a fucking net minus to society, as is every single one of that 10% that thinks that they're more important than you or me, that thinks that shoving some narrative down our throats and scaring us and teaming up with like a couple 100,000 bots. By the way, Ukraine shut down 5 Russian troll farms today. That's why things got a little quiet on the internet. These people are so stupid that they'll take anything they can into a war that is non-existent with a group of people that have no idea what they're fucking talking about, dude. And the illegality with which they treated this last 2 years, there's a tax for that, bro. And it's now. It is now. So they can fuck themselves, Randy can fuck himself, and he can rot in jail, and I'm going to enjoy every single minute of the sentence. I'm going to enjoy his house arrest. I'm going to fucking live for his conditions. I'm going to enjoy all of it because of what they did to us. Now it's our time. Enjoy it. This is, like I said, shit-eating season, and I know that some people want to be better than that. I'm not. And on top of that, it's the right way to be. I'm convinced.
See, I think where my issue with this is, and where I'm a little bit torn, is that I see myself in these individuals. Mm-hmm. I see elements of how my cynicism and my hatred for how decisions are made and the mistakes that are being made by our public officials, and I can see, like, dude, I'm so angry at politics right now. Like, it's an unhealthy anger, like, and it's growing daily. And I think there's a lot more people out there like me that are willing to admit it. So when I see what they're doing and why they are where they're at, although I don't agree with it, I see elements of how they got there in myself, and I go, we do need a change here. I mean, the politicians in this country need to wake the fuck up and realize that they are the number one reason why 8,000 fucking people left their homes, grabbed their vehicles, and went and took over our nation's capital. 8,000 fucking people, Dean. And you know what? Listen, shut down borders. I'm more worried about the problems that have led to that than I am about making sure that the people that are responsible for getting them there pay some sort of price. Is that fair?
Yeah, dude. And I fuck, there's a million reasons why I like working with you, right? Like a million. This is one of them. Like, to have the balls to go, dude, I see me in that. I see myself in it. Like, these are my friends. These are people that I talk to. And clearly I know they're not all your friends. I know it's not your whole friend group.
I'm very proud of this country. I'm very, very proud of this country. I am.
No, but what you said was vulnerable, right? Like, just to say, hey, listen, I got to tell you something. The reason why I'm trying to find the nicer side of this is because I identify with how much they fucking hate our politics. They hate our politicians, hate our government, hate how we're being governed. Like, I get it. And you guys live in a very isolated part of the country, and you get shafted all the time by population votes. And I get it. I get all of it. Totally. I lived in Alberta for years. I heard the same argument when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, when I lived there. It was like, fuck the East, right? And you get shafted and no one comes out to see you and all that stuff. There's a validation issue there. I can't speak to it. I can't control it, but I do understand how you would get to that point. This is like the great sluicing time. I think now that the pandemic is coming to an end, you could say what you want about masking and all that stuff and a fourth booster, which I heard about yesterday.
Jason Kenney said it's over.
Say, yeah, well, then it's over if Jason said it's over. Too bad he doesn't have the same objective reality for his job, because that's over soon too. But in the big, honest to God, when you think about everything in terms of how we're processing what it is that we're dealing with, by and large, a group of people who are fed up, right? Like, we can put everybody into that box. Fed up. Everybody that's angry. Everybody doesn't like the government. Fed up. But 100% of us are fed up. 90% of us just got on with it. We cracked on with it. We decided that our families and ourselves were more important than trying to prove a point about what we didn't get being an egregious crime, right? We just said, we get it. Fuck, we're here. Like, and I go back to the same thing all the time. They thought it happened to them. We just thought it was happening and fucking cracked on. And so I don't have any fucks to give.
And that's why I'm sitting in a different seat right now than Randy Hillier or anybody that was in Ottawa, right? Even if I can relate on some level with the anger revolving around how decisions are being made in this country that I value so much, I'm still in a very different position, right? And I think the interesting thing about where we're heading right now is, I don't think that this struggle that we're referencing right now, that we're touching on, is lost on the people in power. And it fucking better not be. Because it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And I think you're just adding more fuel to the fire by putting Randy Hillier in jail for 30 years. I don't think that helps.
What about 5? What about 2?
Something needs to happen, right? Like, what was that last one? Put that last one on there.
Yeah. Van City says lock them 8,000 people up. They lock up more than 8,000 Native people wanting more rights.
Oh, that's my buddy. That's a friend of mine. And you know what? I mean, when you start making comparisons between how we're handling this group and how we've handled the indigenous people, all that, oh my God, like that's
Kind of
will
brings it into
spiral.
light.
It
right?
does. Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You bring it into light. You got a old white dude that's a government employee, and he's been running around committing super fucking illegal acts, and everybody's like, should we just let him go? He's white. Not
no,
that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're saying.
What
I know
I'm
that.
saying,
But what I'm
right?
saying is generally speaking, that is the prevailing attitude. Like, dude, we have this whole thing to me, and I screamed it from the fucking mountaintops the second that the Freedom Convoy started. I was like, this is the white fucking supremacist white privilege parade. That's all it is. That's all it is. And we used that analogy the last time, Locke, right? The analogy was like, if these guys were of native descent, would have been cleared
oh
out
my
in 10
God,
minutes.
how that would have been handled very differently. And again, I was going to make a point earlier, and we kind of got sidetracked by Karima's point about this whole process right now seems to be overshadowing the work they need to do with the Ottawa Police Department, because I think that needs to be a big part of this conversation right now. Why was that convoy allowed to fucking move in unimpeded? Why were they left to their own devices?
They were escorted.
They were escorted in. That's the bigger fucking issue here, in my opinion, rather than taking some fat alcoholic chain smoking dick who managed to somehow end up getting a seat in Parliament, taking him to task for his involvement in the organization of it. I think there's bigger issues here, right? And that's all I'm highlighting here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Dude, and listen, it's a valid point.
We have to be careful, too, because these groups are going to start growing, and they might start getting representation. That's the other thing I'm worried about.
Dude, I don't think so. I think now that – so can I fuck, we've been at it for like 2 hours, 10 minutes. You don't mind if I just kind of wax for a little bit, but kind of tie this into Ukraine. So I had an interesting conversation with someone involved at a very high level in Canada's – possibly with Canada's – one of Canada's spy agencies. Possibly.
Yeah.
And we had a long conversation about a million different things. But one of the things I wanted to nail him down on is, listen, what is going on in Ukraine? And he's like, it's a funnel, sort of. And I go, what do you mean it's a funnel? And he's like, you know, all the shit from the last 5-6 years, meddling in the U.S. election, Russia meddling in the U.S. election, disinformation in Canada, the Freedom Convoy. Every single one of those incidents, events, the insurrection in the States, January 6th, other countries that have had QAnon, forced events on them by that theocratic machine, which traditionally just comes out of the East, comes out of Russia. It's just all Russia's doing. The convoy was Russia's doing, the alt-right's doing, which is propped up by Russia, man. Like, we're fucking seeing it every day. Yesterday, he does one of these. He's like, you guys, this is just about cancel culture. You guys are just trying to cancel Russia. And I'm like, oh my God, he's feeding into the fucking right-wing bullshit already. Like, this is incredible to me. And so what Ukraine actually is for Canada, and I'm just going to use Canada in one example. This is what I've come to understand. It's the filling of that void. It's that silent battle for what has been happening here and what has been happening in the United States and what Russia has been trying to do to peacefully democratically elected countries where people actually vote and say, this is the guy, this is the girl, this is the government. And this is our way of saying, fuck you, fuck that. We're going to end this. And it is so fucking subversive. Troll farms are being hunted down as we speak by international communities. They are being shut down in different countries. The spy effort, for a lack of a better term, espionage that is going into this, heavy equipment that's going into this, the fight that's going into this, the effort that's going into this on behalf of Canadians. It is not just about protecting the Ukraine and the Ukrainian people and keeping our relationship with them and being altruistic in the global community. You know what it's about? It's about the convoy a little bit. In fact, not just a little bit. My understanding is it's about it a lot. And so when you actually fucking boil all that stuff down, you can then go out from that center and go, Randy Hillier, Maxime Bernier, all these different people, whether they knew it or not. That's what this fight is about. The Ukraine isn't just about the Ukraine. It's about us. It's about how we operate. It's about society in Canada. It's about democracy. It's about protecting the minds and the hearts and the souls of Canadians, because we're talking about this, because we're at this point. And it's fucking fascinating when you look at it like that, because we haven't been able to fight back. We haven't been able to prevent disinformation. We haven't been able to stop division. We haven't been able to clear up lies and fucking focus on the truth. So I go back to the original thing that you said, which I found fascinating too, where you're like, it's an alternative point of view. That has never been an alternative point of view, which has to be prosecuted. It has to be. It has to be. And it has to be prosecuted over in Europe, where we're putting billions of dollars into the effort to protect this country from that, from what we're talking about, from guys like Randy Hillier running around acting like a fucking lunatic, making this country an incredibly unsafe place to actually try to enjoy, right? So that's what this is to me. That's all it is. And when I talked to this guy, it all fucking made sense. I'm like, oh my God, of course, right? Of course we're fighting this with tooth and nail, because it's not about the Ukraine. It's about us as well. Does that make sense?
It does. And you're right. There is a lot of connections between this fight that Ukraine is in right now with Russia and how the West is standing up to. It's very interesting. The problem is we've been hyper-focused on the Randy Hillier thing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, and you hit the nail on the head, Randy doesn't know that he's a Russian asset.
Mm-mm.
He just bought into a narrative. And that, to me, that's the bigger issue here. Why are we at where we are at right now? Why are these people getting dragged into it? And that's the conversation we're avoiding right now. And that's the one I think needs to start happening. Like, I keep saying this out loud. Trudeau can't be going to bed every night going, there's just some people that don't like me. He has to be going to bed every night going, why was there 8,000 fucking people
trying to hang me?
Trudeau signs in my backyard.
Do you know why?
And I don't know if he's smart enough to know. And
I think he is. I think so? Yeah, because again, I speak with some of these
signaling. He's still letting himself speak on TV. He's
going to do that. He's a prick, dude. He's a prick, but he knows. Like, they know, like, the things that we don't tell. I'm talking like on behalf of the government. The things that you don't know will scare you at night. Like, there's lots of stuff that we don't know. We don't know the effort that's going into stopping misinformation, disinformation. We don't know who was involved. We know that 18 people have been charged with very serious offenses since the convoy. We do know that this is a fucking bad thing for the country. And we do know that we're trying to fucking fix it. We're trying to protect Canadians from having their minds melted.
Do we?
Yes, we do. Yes,
okay.
I do.
Because just going after the organizers of an event, to me, isn't an attempt to try to fix the problem. The problem is beyond that, right? Tamara Litch went home to fucking Medicine Hat. There's 100 people waiting for her, waving flags and singing the Canadian national anthem. She thinks she's a hero for what she did.
Good for her. I hope she feels like she's a hero, because she's under house arrest. That's a house arrest hero. She's not allowed to go on the internet like ever. Like, that's not a hero. She's not allowed to leave her house without a fucking, like, her husband. If she and her husband go on a date night, she's got to bring her surety. Like, that's every single one of these people had their lives circumcised.
I'm not upset about it. I'm just saying there's a bigger picture here that I think we keep getting distracted, right?
Yeah,
we've been distracted by COVID. We've been distracted by Trump. We've been distracted by, and now we are being distracted by Ukraine, right? I just hope that there are people behind the curtains that are pulling the strings, that are smarter than you and I, that are making the right decisions that might eventually get us back on track, right? And thank God the NDP and Liberal government got together to form a coalition to make sure that they take care of the fucking citizens of this country.
Dude, you can get your teeth fixed for almost free now because of that. You get
I
free
do,
drugs.
and I need it because I got
There you
fucking
go.
trailer trash teeth.
So do I.
Guess who got the teeth fixed? The sister. My fucking sister.
Yeah, she got the money, did she?
Yeah,
she got the tooth money.
She got the tooth money.
Anyway, dude, I love these conversations. I appreciate the fact that I can have them with you too. Like it's fascinating because I say that word a lot. It's interesting because I think a lot of people want to impress somebody. They want to get through a podcast where you're like, oh fuck, look at me, look at how smart I am, and being able to like sit there and go like, are we doing the right thing? Yes, here's why. Are we doing the wrong thing? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I know that like every one of us is fed up. I just don't care about like 10% of Canada that's fed up, because that 10% of Canada has shown us they don't want to be a part of this fucking country. So until they decide that they want to, I'm not taking them seriously as human beings, like ever.
And that's a fair stance. I'm not there yet. I'm not in the same canoe as you. You know what I do have to tell you about though?
What's that?
I had a amazing chiropractic adjustment today from Jordan, my chiropractor.
Did you really?
And I am about to go have the shit of my life. It's going to be fantastic. I may have to send you a pic. I can feel it brewing. Like as soon as he cracked me,
don't do it.
You don't want to pick?
No. I used to
be
I used to think it was funny when guys would send me pictures of their shit. And when I turned 35, I was somehow instantly turned off by it. I'm like, oh fuck, shit. Because I used to shit bomb my friends. We'd shit bomb each other where you'd like send them an email with a picture of your turd in it. And you just drop because you're like, fuck, I got to show this to someone. This is impressive. My digestive system is a superstar. And you're like, you got to check this out, boys. So you'd have a mailing list of guys you'd send your shit to, like 5 or 6 guys. My buddy Mike, Ken, a couple other guys, Pete, Doctor, like really, really well-heeled individuals. Most of them millionaires. Yeah, White Dave. I wouldn't send him to Black Dave because he does not like poop jokes. So anyway, I would do it like this, where I'd send him an email. I'm like, Paris Hilton naked. And they're like, ooh. And they'd go and open it up. Just be a picture of shit. And this went on for fucking years. Kim Kardashian sex tape. Just another shit. Hey, look at the puppy I just bought. Just a turd.
You know, all you're doing is giving me ideas.
I know. And it stopped because my buddy's wife, Mel, she opened up his email once and there's a picture of my shit. And it was just entitled, having a great time on vacation. And she opened it up. She's like, oh, I want to see Dean on vacation. Just a massive boiler. Just huge. And I'm like, and I get an email from Mike. He's like, we got to stop. We got to stop sending. These guys are like business millionaires. Got to stop sending pictures of our turds to each other because Mel's grossed out now. I'm like, oh, fuck, sorry. Tell her. I said, whose shit did she see? He goes, I thought it was Ken's, but it turns out she saw your shit. And I'm like, I had chili the night before. And he's like, she knows.
Well, listen, that's all good information, but I am not making any promises here because if it's sticking 2 or 3 inches out of the water, you're getting a pick.
All right. I'll look at that. Have a good one, man. Thanks for doing this, Locke.
All right. That was a good one today.
Appreciate you. That's Locke on Cross. 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him. Apparently he's gone. That's what I love about him. He fucking smoke bombs like a ninja. 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him. Follow him on Twitter at Lachlan Cross. Thanks to our friends, Army Chris, the Army Chris, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much to Alex. Follow him. He's in Ukraine fighting the war against the aggressors. Alex Dayrabekov, Dayrabekov. He's in the show notes, so you can have a look and follow him there if you go to the description of the podcast, which, again, you can subscribe to on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. You can also watch us on Twitch. Yeah, Twitter as well. Let's start with Twitch, though. Twitch, Dean Blundell TV. Twitter is @it's Dean Blundell on TV on Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, all those. I don't, whatever. We're there. We're on every major platform. Just fucking put my name in there. You'll figure it out. Anyway, have a great day. Thanks to our friends over at Domination for making this possible. Dominate with content and your content by using DMNTN, domination.com. AI for people that do streaming, gaming, podcasting, and more. You get promos out of it. It takes you minutes instead of hours. Incredible stuff. Try them today for free. Go to DMNTN.com. Again, dominate with content with DMNTN.com. Ed's Fine Imports. We wear as Gitch. You can too. GITCH 3. The number 3 after Gitch. That's your promo code. Go to edsfineimports.com Order 3 pairs. We'll send you the 4th for free. Clothing for men and boys, all online, massive online store. Great stuff. I shop there all the time. 34 Heritage jeans. You can't miss. EdsFineImports.com. Gitch3 is your promo code. And, of course, Easy Auto Financial helping us get into a new vehicle because your financing didn't come through. No one wants to pay for financing. It's always like the sweatiest part of buying a car. It's like, am I going to qualify? Am I not going to qualify? Do you qualify with these guys? Easy Auto Financial, no obligation. Go and fill out your shit online, easyautofinancial.ca, and they'll hook you up with the car you want with the financing that you didn't pay for and send you to the dealership that you want to get the car for. It's all turnkey. Trust them. We do. You can too. easyautofinancial.ca. It's it for us. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Scotty will be here. Scotty Trades. Fuck, I love that guy. From the new podcast, Hot Wallet, Crypto Dude. He's going to take us through crypto you should buy, some shit coins, and we'll talk a little bit about a few other things, including Will Smith. We didn't get a chance to get to him today because he apologized. Shitty apology. Anyway, Will Smith, Scott Trades tomorrow. Maybe a little Jordan Peterson because he is right out there. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.